43.
42. 41.
40.
39.
Number 1.
39.
38.
37.
36. 35.
34.
33.
32.
31.
30. 29.
28. 27.
26.
25.
24.
23.
21.
20.
19.
18.
17. 16.
15.
14.
13.
12. 11.
10.
9. 8.
7. 6. 5.
4.
3.5.
3.
2.
1.
Hey, Rocky, you want to see me pull a show out of my hat? Nothing up my sleeve. Presto! Hi, and welcome to the Mouthwash Talk Show, a minty fresh take on politics. We come on right after Witty Reviews, and his show is really taken off, and it's good that he's on the Chateau de Mars Hill Studio Network, and we're coming to you live from the Chateau de Mars Hill Studio, and we have a great guest tonight, Mike Young. He's been in the Indiana Senate for a lot of years. He's seen him come, and he's seen him go, and if you notice the title of the show is It's a Club and He Ain't in It. And he's one that stood up for us Hoosiers, specifically here in Wayne Township, against firemen takeovers and whatever the government's trying to do to us. He's fought hard for the property taxes. But hey, our fellow Republicans decided that they don't need his advice and we don't need him in the caucus. So they're going to go it alone themselves. But so I look at it like, hey, what are they going to do? Kick you out? So Mike Young can definitely speak freely, one, because of his experience, and two, because he don't care anymore about what they think and probably never did. So, but he's always been very friendly to us, knows what's going on, very good strategist and all that good stuff. So I want to bring him on here in a minute. We're going to get caught up here on some things, but we're going to talk about new laws and some things in Marion County. I know he's state related, but I'm going to ask him a few questions about our city stuff and what we can do. I know that there's been some state intervention in some other areas that hadn't gone so well in some cases. So maybe that's why he wants to stay out of that. So I'm going to go ahead and bring Mike on now. Mr. Young, how are you this evening?
I'm doing pretty good. How are you guys?
Oh, it's just we're coming to the dog days of summer. It's sort of hot out. So
Hey, I heard your opening. Hey, I'll tell you this real quick. I've always been for the people and not the people in the club. As I told them, the only people that can vote for me are the people who live in my district. There's nobody in this room can vote for me or against me.
Yeah, I just remember when we were when you were down there fighting for us for the city wanted to take over our fire departments here in the 3 townships to the west. And I made the comment, sort of a little build up like I just did there. And those guys are sort of chuckling about, hey, but I thought that was very interesting that, the people on the committee, how they were. But you know what? That was something that you got squashed. And guess what? Wayne Township still hasn't done anything with IFD because it was screwed up. Yeah, it's like there's no money they just can't do it. So another failed proposition. Pike's in decent shape. Decatur's definitely in decent shape. We were the only ones really struggling. So I think it can be.
There's ways to do it. Our trustee just hasn't decided to do it.
Well, that just sort of goes across the board in Marion County problems and issues of what's happening about really the do nothing that's going on. But we're going to talk about some new laws, and we got we have some basically a Marion County party that's just sort of sitting on their hands and not doing anything. But I think I just have Lucy backstage. I know Brad is in the middle of packing, so I know he was disappointed because he wanted to ask some questions. But I'm going to go ahead and bring Lucy on here. Let's see. Let's go this way here and put Lucy on. Now let's do this. I'll put you down on center stage. How's that? And let me
There
change
you
this
go.
back
Oh, yeah.
drop here a little bit.
I
So-
have to be on the bottom. Okay, I got
yeah, that's right. Well, age before beauty or something like that. I don't know what that there goes. But hey, Lucy, welcome. I think we missed you last week, right? I can't even remember what.
Yes, I was traveling as I often am. And the thing that's going to be kind of weird about this show, Mike, I'm usually the pit bull that goes after people, but like you're a true champion of the people.
Yeah, I know.
I've been watching, I've been watching you basically my entire adult life stand up and speak truth to power, and I want to thank you for that.
Yeah.
You have, very good morals. I would say libertarian ideals, and not the lefty loony libertarians, the conservative libertarians like myself.
Okay.
So thank you for doing
Well,
a good job.
I do think there's things that libertarians and I agree on. A lot of things actually, but there's a couple that I know I couldn't go with. But hey,
Yeah.
It's all good.
and we're
I'm
all
a
here to
95%er.
do the job we can for people.
Yeah. So Lucy, you got the zoning people all calmed down and everything. You get that all.
Oh no.
you're
Mike, as background, I'm down in Washington County, Indiana, where Salem is. And
Really?
it
Okay.
seems like, the two commissioner meetings every month are just a time for us to expose more fraud. Our
Hey,
commissioners
by
are
the way,
just,
real quick, do you know Frank
Yes.
Kirk, the judge down there? Newkirk. Frank Newkirk, the judge. He used to be in the House with me. He was a Democrat and
kidding.
became a Republican. Yeah.
Huh.
Oh, he came to his senses. Well, we like him already.
Right.
I probably haven't seen.
But it's just been very interesting times. I think a lot of people are disgruntled with this party, that party. Lucy's obviously been disgruntled for a long time in the Libertarian Party, and I think we could all say we have issues with our own party that we affiliate with, and it just seems. At what point do we have a boiling point when people, Mike, when they say, I've had enough of this. I mean, you got Elon Musk trying to start an American party. I don't know if that's the answer. Where do you think we are on that? And what's the boiling point? When are people going to get
I think what it is I'm glad we had 56 people, and I'll say men because there were no women. I'm glad that we had 56 people back in 1776 on July the 2nd that had enough courage, that they had enough and knew it was wrong, and said, I don't care if you take my life. I don't care if you take my wealth. I don't care if you take my honor. What you're doing is wrong, and I'm putting my life on the line to change it.
Yes.
Well,
And I can't believe what bothers me most about my caucus. I know there's several people that believe just the way I do because we talk about it. But when I decided to leave because I couldn't trust our leadership, and if you don't have trust, I don't know why you work with somebody you can't trust.
Yeah.
Not one of them left. They still talk about it, but not one of them left. And I was just talking to one of those guys. I said, well, are you going to have enough courage to come with me? No, they're not.
Yeah, we need to get the Mike Young caucus going. I mean,
that's not a good ring.
We could get
the Young Caucus. That's even better. The Young Caucus.
Yeah, really. Yeah, well, I mean, all we got to do is get Steve Whitty on this thing. He'll make it happen. He's got the ear of the young people. He's leading the charge against the corruption and all the things that are going on.
Let me just give you what I mean about courage. Now, I had, and I'm sure you're going to get into it a little bit, the property tax thing, but I'll just give you one example. I had one amendment. I had four altogether, but one amendment on the property tax bill. And this is the one I talked to you guys about the last time I was on that show. I said I was going to do these amendments. And this one was simply this. If you're 65 and older, you never have to pay property tax again on your property. And it was all paid for because I was going to take the money that we're using for the pre-1996 teacher retirement fund. It will be solvent in about 3 years, 2 years or 3 years. And that money's not allocated to go anywhere else, but it's already there in the budget. And all I was going to do is take that money and we could get rid of everybody over 65's taxes. Guess what? Local government wouldn't lose one penny. This was a win-win. It didn't cost any more. We didn't have to raise taxes. The money was there. And I think more Democrats in the caucus there. Let me turn this phone off. Somebody wants to text me.
Is that Stevie Wonder's song at your ringtone?
Yeah, no. Maybe they're watching this show and they want to give me something to say. I don't know, but I got to turn off the sound here real
They'll
quick.
probably tell you, get off the Mouthwash show quick.
Yeah. In any case, I think maybe I had 6 or 7 Republicans there was 40 of us altogether, 41, 46 or 7, that only had enough courage to go against the leadership who wanted them to vote against my amendment and kill it when it didn't cost anybody 1 penny. And we could have gotten rid of all the property tax and said, for the first time in your lives in this state, you can now own the property, your property, and not rent it from the government.
You got to let it be. Well, Mike, there'll be a budget.
They have no
in 2
courage.
years. There'll be a budget in 2 years, and guess what? I'll be 65. So the timing, they're just waiting for me to turn 65.
You know what it is, Mike? It really is just that they love spending the public purse. They just love getting their money on their ill-gotten gains, and they've probably already spent that money.
No, you're right, Lucy, on some of that. But the real issue is they really wanted the property tax to go away. They liked that idea. You don't know how many people I came around and said, hey, I'll vote for that. Don't put it up on a tally board. They didn't want their vote recorded because they didn't want leadership to get mad at them. I said, well, I'm not going to do that. What are you going to do when they call division and you guys have to stand up or not? I'll lose for sure. But this way, the only ones that'll lose will be the ones that voted against it because it'll be
for the next
recorded.
election. I mean, honestly, if you're if you're a property owner,
they're scared. They have here's it. They want to be a committee chairman. I could care less. They want to be on certain committees. I don't care if I'm on one or not. They want their bills heard. Well, I can do them through amendments. They have no courage. I think I might write a letter to my caucus and said, boy, I'm glad you guys weren't alive back in 1776.
Right.
If one of you guys had to sign that Declaration of Independence, none of you have courage to do it.
Yep. And that ought to be the litmus test. You can't love your life. You can't love your life more than God, and you can't love your life more than the freedoms of your constituents.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, well, you know, Mike,
that's the only reason we're trapped. It's because we want something for ourselves instead of helping our citizens.
Yeah, the sacrifices.
That's the only reason I'm there. You think I want to run all the time? No, I don't. I can't find anybody with the same amount of courage. I can't find anybody who wants to make changes.
I know
we had John Jacob, and we had
well, I mean in my district.
Nicely.
My district.
Well,
I'm
yeah, in your
in my
district for sure. Yeah.
I don't have to do it. Maybe John will do it.
Yeah,
maybe he'll have enough courage when he gets in that caucus room and say, John, if you don't vote with us now, buddy, you're not in this caucus anymore.
Well, you know, I have receipts for how I've gone against the grain, so that's why we probably get along so well. You know, and you know, speaking of people that have gone against the grain, Krista Carlino, I mean, she's been wavering back and forth, but now, you know, she came out and asked for the resignation of some folks in the party. They just came at her, you know, like they did you, but you didn't fold. She folded, apologized.
She got a splinter in her finger. She went back because it hurt too much.
Well, but then yesterday she went out again. So she's she's in the Mike Young limbo.
Oh, I haven't heard this.
Brand. I mean, it just came out. Yep, just came out.
Excellent. Maybe she
say
saw
why
that.
She dropped out again.
What's that?
Did she say why she dropped out again?
She said that she couldn't be a part of this leadership that's one-sided and retaliatory. Pretty much. Well, yeah, that's what I say.
You know what? I think she's from Wayne Township too.
And I think she's a little bit north, but I think part of it.
But her district comes
part of
here.
it. I think you have another one in there, but you know that goes through that area, McCormick.
Oh, I don't have her because I used to have Janice Shattuck. I thought she's the one to be.
Yeah, you may have her then, but I know part of it that is the McCormick. The other one is.
Well, she's south of me.
Okay, yeah.
I don't think she wants to see me anymore, because the way she got beat bad.
Yeah, well, she got a cushy job with the AG, so she's good. But
she got a job with the Attorney General's office.
Janice?
Jessica McCormick?
Oh, no, not Jessica. I was talking about Janice McHenry.
Oh.
Yeah. No, Jessica, she's still a council. She's still in the council as far as I know, but she is somebody that just placeholder. But, you know, speaking of the Marion County stuff right now, I don't know what we could do. I know you're a state senator and you're obviously in Speedway and in my neighborhood, Wayne, of Mars Hill, Drexel Gardens, Garden City, all that. I can't get any love from the city. I'm working with this floodplain over here, trying to get some stuff done. Apparently, Andre
They are
Carson.
from Austin, Texas, and see if they'll move.
Yeah.
Because they should be worrying about floods right now. This is the time.
Oh yeah, I mean, and I've been
talk
I've
about
been
the harp machine.
What now?
Huh?
Are we going to talk about harp?
Harp. Oh, hey, hold on. Let's get into let's hold that thought one second. I actually have a bill here that, let me see if I can find it. Oh, banners. Okay. I have one that's interesting. So let's look at this one right here. Okay, this is a new law that just came into effect. Disaster Relief Fund increases. The maximum award available from the state's Disaster Relief Fund for property damage has been increased to $25,000. I don't know what it was. Do you know what it was?
Well, actually, I don't know. I'm not even familiar with this. Must have been in the budget, but we do have disaster funds too that we use. We also can ask for disaster funds from the federal government. And if they don't give us everything we need, then we have money that goes in it and can help rebuild. But I don't know if that is regarding a loan or it's a grant.
Yeah, it just says award. So I would imagine it's a grant type of thing. But so this is in Mars Hill. We have 628 houses in the floodplain. I could fix this thing the city says it's going to cost $10 million. Andre Carson got 1.3 million set aside to the city, which I have no idea where it went. I could fix it for that.
Hey, I know somebody can find out for you.
Who?
Steve Whitty. Steve Whitty.
I've sort of got him on it, but I mean, there's so much other stuff going on with the city. Well, pick something. I mean, it's like, what's wrong? But so our folks have to have flood insurance, and you cannot fix up your building because of the low assessed values on some of these old properties. I have a building I would love to fix up. It's assessed for like 10 grand. The rules are you can only fix it up for half of your property value one time. I cannot even afford to unboard that thing for 5 grand. So it sits there with boards on it. And what happens? Nothing.
Well, I thought when I talked, I think it was about 3 years ago or so, I talked to you, and then I talked to the guy who was in charge of DPW, who's now the deputy mayor for
Dan Parker.
Yeah, Dan Parker. And we sat down and he showed me all those things. And I said, well, if it's going to increase the value, they're going to have to pay more. I don't know if they have that money in their in their pocket for the property tax. He says, yeah, but they wouldn't have to pay the flood insurance.
It's like $700,000 a year. Plus we place, well, you just take 628 times $1,200. Now, if you don't have a mortgage, you don't have to pay. Of course, we have to protect the banks, but anybody else. I mean, Lisa, I knew, but this is how it's all drawn up. And now we have an increase to $25,000, and but
so have they not started on that floodplain work they were?
No, the last time it'll be 4 years this September. They had their first meeting, and I just ripped them a new one at it.
When was the first time you talked to me about that issue?
Oh, this has been probably 2 years ago, 3 years ago, whatever.
Okay, it was maybe 3 because I thought it was 3 years ago. Because after we talked, I talked to Dan, and I thought he said that they were doing it.
Yeah, well,
like you did up in Broad Ripple.
Yeah, they've been working on Rocky Ripple, but they spent a fortune. They want to fix the Kentucky Road Bridge, which they threw that in there. They wanted to put a 75-year TIF on us, which is illegal. 25 is the longest you can sunset something.
Yeah,
and they didn't do any research on retainage ponds. I mean, it just was a dumpster fire. And I thought they were going to throw me out because I was really making these high-paid city engineers look like dunces, but. Then it just went missing. It ghosted. And I've been on Andre Carson about it. Anybody that'll listen about it. And like I said, you're a state senator. You got no jurisdiction over the city, but I don't know where else to go. It's just so frustrating that we can't get this done. And I told him I could fix it. Just the process of getting this fixed. I could get it fixed. Kenny Warden down in Decatur, he's in your district.
Can you get bonded? I would think one of the things they would be concerned about is, can you get bonded to protect it if something goes wrong?
I got bonded down.
I just don't know how that works. I'm not in the business. That's why I'm asking.
Well, I mean, the first thing is to have a conversation with me, and they won't even talk to me about it. Andre Carson refuses to meet with me. The city, they just, no, we're not going to meet with you. We don't want to talk about it. I said, I'll do all the work. Joe,
Have you
can take the credit.
have you talked to your states, United States senators?
Yeah.
Because they represent the area.
Yeah, I know, but that's like talking to Mike. They're not as accessible as you. I don't have any. I asked Jim Banks one question, and he gave me the old canned speech about things.
Oh, did you? Oh.
Yeah. Well, and it's like, they just and like I said, I'll do all the heavy lifting. We could get it done, but and the folks in Mars Hill. We've been able to get more people to vote here. We were down to like 20% participation, and we're up to like 50% now of people that are actually voting. But I keep telling them, I don't
any good. I wonder if it would do any good to get a petition and have people sign it, tell them what you want to do, how it would work, and get it, and then present it to Metropolitan Development and see what they say.
Yeah, that's I just need to get a hold of the right guy person. And I think that Department of Public Works has had some turnover. I've noticed that they're actually doing a little better on projects, still subpar, but at least there's some certain things that are getting done, but it's just an overwhelming job. They need really professionals to do it. But anyway, I didn't want to get too caught up on that because that's a personal thing that I'm working on. Okay, let's just shift gears to something. Let's just shift gears to this. Speed limit on 465. Oh, increase the speed limit has been certain sections of I-465 been raised to 65 miles an hour from the 55 miles an hour, which has done absolutely nothing. I mean,
well, the thing was, if you went 55, you're going to cause an accident.
Yeah. You know what?
65, I think that helps it a little bit, but I'll tell you what, they've always gone 75 or more.
Yeah, well, what they
if
say,
you get in that traffic, you have to go that way, or you're going to cause an accident.
Yeah, you know what you call a police car going around 465, 55 miles an hour? The pace car. That's all it is. Once it goes off the go.
No, that's true. You get a cop in front like a 3 lanes, and nobody goes past that.
Nobody goes. I've seen them pass them though. I mean, I think that's a decent move. But
the cops, though, they're doing a good thing. They also go faster because they know a lot of people won't do it, so they also go faster.
So Carmel set up a speed trap on 465, and Who
did?
Carmel? Well, the state police, and they were pulling people over. They were on the bridge shooting, and it's $174 if you go over 75. And most of the people in court that day were kids with their parents, and they were in trouble. And it was Poindexter's. Do you know Poindexter? Judge Poindexter, he's a Carmel traffic cop, traffic judge. It was like night court. The guy was hilarious, but the poor people had to pay their $175. And when you get,
you know what the police say: go 9, you're fine. Go 10, you're mine.
You're mine. Yeah, we were talking about that.
So stay at 9 over, and you're okay.
Okay, so now we got to go to the obscure. We got to go to one of these.
Listen. Now, wait a minute. Since you're talking about interstates, let's put the big thing on the table right now. The law also affects interstates. Our party's going to put in toll roads on the interstates.
Yeah, but that was not going into effect July 1st.
No, but it's already been passed. It will go in as soon as I think they've already asked for permission from the feds to do it. And once they get the permission,
look who the cat drug in.
It really does look like the cat drug him in.
Yeah.
Wait, let me get this turned up.
He said he was going to be in transition here. So
yeah, I don't see any boxes behind him, so I don't know what he was passing.
No, they're all in front,
Yeah,
okay. Well, just to finish that thought, the thing is, it does take effect July the 1st. It may not be in play, but it takes effect. We can do it as soon as we get permission from the feds, anytime after July the 1st. And now I'll tell you this. Here's what my thought is on that. In Virginia, where my daughters live, and they live like close to the beach out there, and it's really a nice beach, Virginia Beach.
Mm-hmm. Yeah,
but out there, they have like 3 or 4 lanes, 5 lanes, whatever it is. It's big. It's like some places on 465, but they have 1 lane. All the other 3 or 4, you can drive on it, and it's fine. But they have 1 lane off to the side that you can get in. You pay a little bit more, but you can go 10 miles an hour faster. And there's nobody in front of you, and man, you're speeding right down there. And if they give me that, I care about choices. And if you don't give me a choice to get on the interstate and not have to pay, I'm probably not going to get on the interstate. Maybe that's what they want. But it makes sense to me, if you're going to do that, then only tax the people that want to pay the tax. If they want to use that lane, they can do it, and I don't care.
You
don't take away all those.
You don't come across as a lead-foot Larry to me. Now, Atlanta has one of those express lanes. They got one that it's just totally separate that you can pay and go. And Atlanta's they're like the traffic king. That place. Even when I was a little kid going to Disney World in the 70s, early 70s, we had to miss Atlanta because the traffic.
Oh yeah, no, I know it's probably worse now. I remember going down there. We had 9 kids in our family, so my dad had a station wagon, 2 up front, 3 in the middle. That's 5. The other 4 in the back. You know what? If the seatbelt law was law back then, we could never go to Florida. Because my mom didn't drive. We couldn't take 2 cars. And so we would never get to go to Florida.
Yeah, it was, I don't know how we lived, Mike, through all that. No car seat.
I never had a helmet when I rode a bicycle.
Yeah. Helmet.
I drank out of the hose.
It's like, how do we live? And, we did stuff that, just rub some dirt on it, get back in. Okay. Hi, Brad, we're not going to let you talk for a second, but this is definitely, a law that could affect you. Now, are you moving? Is that correct? Are you moving somewhere?
Yeah, but within town.
In town, but do you have an HOA? Do you have an HOA? Do you have a homeowners association? Do you have one?
No.
Okay.
Are you moving to one? Are you moving to one?
No.
Moving to one?
Okay. Well, this may not get anybody here. Mike, you have speedway laws, which are about like a homeowners association. Homeowner regulations of beekeeping. Homeowners associations cannot prevent residents from keeping beehives on their property if certain conditions are met. Now, Mike, were you under the impression that bees were being assaulted, or why would we have
No,
this?
they've been assaulting me, actually. I got some underneath my house, the siding, and I took a hose. I thought I would water them out of there, and they started attacking me. I had like 20 bites on me. So
those are the wrong kind of bees. These are honeybees, type of thing.
But I see a lot of compromise all around on that. So if certain conditions are met,
right?
So they have to agree to something before the other side even agrees to, whether or not the homeowners association can just flat out say no. Right.
There has to be certain things you're not going to put the bees by somebody's door. I mean, so I'll give you an example. Yeah. So when we were in Speedway, when we lived on 15th Street Speedway, before we moved to the luxurious Mars Hill area, we wanted to have chickens, urban chickens. So we asked the Speedway Town Council, what's the rules on chickens? Well, they didn't have a rule but for the city. So basically by us asking got us in trouble. So they came up with this brilliant plan of, you can only have 6 chickens. You have to register each chicken and pay a $25 permit every year. You can't have a rooster, and you got to ask every adjacent property owner if it was okay. In other words, you ain't getting no chickens.
Your chicken rights should not be infringed upon.
Yes, I think that's in the Constitution.
I think so. It's like the 3rd Amendment, or
third. Yes, but it's that was our lovely Speedway Town Council. Otherwise, if we would have just been quiet, you could have 24 chickens, and no these other laws because it's an old law.
Apples give you 24.
That's what the law was before. Now they did cut it down.
That's a lot of chickens.
Well, think about it.
They got a damn rooster that lives about 3 streets behind me, and it keeps waking me up in the summertime.
Only one rooster. My neighbor's got one, the neighbor behind me got one, and I just got rid of mine. So
it's down here in the apartments, down here in Speedway.
And plus, I don't know if you follow the social media. We had an emu last week, so anything could happen.
I saw the emu.
Are you going to play the song again?
You want to play the
going
on a picnic?
Why I even said that out loud?
You should have never said anything like that. I was just like, who would even do that? So. Going on a picnic. Is that the one you're talking about?
Back one, John. Jesus.
That little song, because it's a little catchy tune. If you want to go on a picnic, it's always good. But so sometimes you ask these questions and you get an answer, or you get the government involved and they totally screw it up. But anyway, so let's look at. I got some other ones here. Here's one. Oh, this is one that a lot of my neighbors here in Mars Hill, they like to smoke cigarettes, and now the dollars a tax. Now, correct me if I'm wrong, Mike. Didn't they add $5 to this back in the last century, around the 90s? Didn't they add a $5 one for the health thing?
I don't think we were at $5, but I think I remember a $3 one that we did a long time ago.
Yeah.
But on this one, it's not on cigarettes. It's on vape. It's on cigars. Abdul, your buddy, he's upset about that because that's all he smokes is
Hey,
cigars.
Mike, I don't think Abdul likes me a whole lot, but anyway, let's go with Tony Katz.
Yeah, I was being facetious. Oh, yeah, we can do
Steve,
Tony,
thanks for rubbing the salt. I felt good. But yeah, so that what's that money going to go to?
Well, that's the devil's lettuce, John.
That's what you like. It's the devil's.
Or the devil's cabbage.
Yeah, there you go. That's right.
Like, yeah, whatever.
I don't know. It's
that's not legal, so I don't think it's anybody that sells that's not putting in sales tax.
Yeah, but you know what, Mike? You won't get
That would be
prosecuted up here in
hilarious.
Marion County. You just won't get prosecuted for it. They won't take you to jail. You
I know it.
I mean, that's
Yeah,
a
I
good
know.
thing. Humans should not be put in cages because of a plant. I mean, like, I love broccoli. What if they were mad at broccoli because it cures cancer? Because broccoli sprouts have 25,000 times the amount of sulforaphane that the head of broccoli has. Like, it's curing cancer left and right. Like,
We got
I would
CBD
think
oil.
Like broccoli. Yeah, like
We got CBD oil.
Yeah, but it's not the special kind. Not the special kind.
Well, but it still works. It still works.
wait, did
Yeah,
we get to the one bill about the no billboards? That was like in
Billboards.
there.
I didn't see that
Well,
on the
billboard,
list.
I don't think the billboard bill was up
No
this year. We
billboard
had
advertising
Jack
about marijuana?
Sandlin had one about 2 years ago.
For the fairgrounds.
Yeah.
No, it was no marijuana advertising on billboards.
That one didn't get. That's not.
Oh, because
Oh,
of
that
the
was
adjacent
wedged in
states.
on like a trucking bill or something.
Yeah, the adjacent states have been advertising, hey, come on over, we got your weed.
Yeah, so like now,
I got you. Yeah.
Michigan dispensaries cannot, or Ohio dispensaries, or Illinois dispensaries,
Or Kentucky, because Kentucky
Or
has medical
Kentucky?
and
Get out of here.
Yeah,
Okay.
Kentucky.
Medicinal.
Kentucky got
I
it
mean,
too.
I think they have medicinal. I don't think they have where you can smoke
But,
it. I think
but
they
that
have
even cannot be.
prescription.
I don't even think that can be advertised. But I did have a question, and I asked this on to Slick Witty, I think. But like, if a helicopter or if a airplane had like one of those banners that go behind it and say like, "Come to so and so dispensary in Michigan," and they just flew along I-69 or flew
it's not a
along
billboard.
I-65, yeah,
It's not a billboard.
Good job.
It's
Good
not a
job.
billboard.
Look for
We
the
can
logo.
share it down
Here's
now.
the only question. I'd have to look in the bill and just look and see how they define that advertising. I don't know if
Why?
it can pick up a banner or not. No, see, you're kind of like John. If you want that to fly around, you shouldn't have brought it up.
No,
Yeah, really.
but like it
That's
wouldn't
right.
happen unless people thought of it. Like it would, you know.
So what when you say that, Mike, I think that they should have one total session where instead of like you get on the long session, you get 10 bills, but the short, you get 5. I think they should do one session where you got to get rid of 5 laws. You don't get to make any new ones. Either make it better or get rid of it. I mean, like
Well,
the chicken law.
yeah, we won't do that. They probably won't do that either because that doesn't help them necessarily. But when I was chairman of the criminal law committee, over a 3-year span, I got rid of over 100 criminal laws.
Excellent.
Yeah. I mean,
That's
I'll give you a good example. Have you ever gone out on a Sunday and watched a sporting event at a bar and ordered some drinks?
okay.
Yes.
Lucy?
I don't drink. So no.
Okay, that's good. Okay. But the other guys do. If you do, you've gone out there.
Yeah.
Well, let me put it this way. Have you ever gone out and anybody that you paid for got a drink?
Okay. Yeah, I picked up the bill many times.
Okay. Well, all 3 of you guys are criminals until I got the law changed. On Sunday, it's against the law to use a credit card to pay for alcohol. The second thing, if you got a good prosecutor, they're going to write you up for 2 of them. The other thing is, if you didn't pay for that drink when you got it, that's considered running a tab. That was also against the law. And if you didn't have your credit card, but they have these places where they have these like
ATMs.
Well, no,
The
not
ATM
18, but where they actually have the alcoholic drink in a machine.
Oh,
Oh,
Well, say you do have your credit card with you, but you don't have any cash, and you want to get one of those Seagram drinks that are, like you'd be out on
White
the beach and
Claw.
you drink it,
yeah.
or whatever it is, and you don't have any dollar bills on you, or you don't have enough, so you go over and take your credit card. You were a criminal then too.
So
Wow.
I
Have you
had
ever
one drink
taken
and committed 7
inside?
felonies.
Yeah.
Well,
Have you ever gone into a polling place and guys have a pen in their pocket or girls have in their purse a pen or pencil? As soon as you did that, you were a felon. No more, no longer, but you were. It was. I mean, we had some stupid laws, and so I got rid of over 100 of them. And
Thank you
I
for that,
remember
Mike.
going out when we were doing this, and I'd ask the crowd, "How many of you guys are criminals?" None of them would ever raise their hand.
They-
Then I just asked them these questions like, "How many of you guys did that?" And we went through it, and I listed like 5 or 6. I just said, "You guys are repeated felons."
Well, they say we
Because
break
every
at
one of
least-
those.
Yeah,
Huh?
they say we break at least 3 laws a day, whether we know it or not. And I'm always like rolling stop signs and speeding or whatever. I'm sure that I'm a criminal and I need to be punished for it.
Well,
I mean,
if I was your attorney, John, I would tell you, I wouldn't admit to any of that.
well,
There
Mike,
was
is
a-
this
there was a
I have,
moment.
I have the right to remain silent. I just don't have the brains to not to do it.
were the
Yeah, I
laws
got
not
I
being
got this old
enforced?
Ron White thing. It's like I just couldn't bring myself.
What?
to be
I'm
quiet.
sorry, Brad. What?
No, were the laws just not being enforced? Because because they sound ridiculous. I understand, and so to
Yeah, they were, but there were reasons for them when they were put up. But it was like John was saying, do we ever get rid of laws? They were there too long and they were stupid.
that's what I mean.
I mean,
and people
Yeah,
just
we
take
didn't
advantage
have
of it.
credit cards when they wrote that law up.
Yeah, here's
So
one.
they would put slugs in them, for example. They would put slugs. You're a kid, you find a slug that looks like a nickel, and sometimes the machine would take it. Well,
Yeah.
well, they would even get you for theft in that regard too, because that was also you're stealing from them.
Here's-
You
it's
know,
all
you
bad.
could pop those open though too, and there's like a little button that's just
Oh, really?
solid to use on that. Yeah.
So we got one. We got Yvonne in the house now. Mike,
Never done
Yvonne is one of our viewers here that's smarter than the guy running the show. Senator Young, data center lobbyists are pressuring Congress to pass legislation that weakens state authority and strips local communities of control, all to force energy grids and data centers into places where residents don't want them. Have you heard anything about this?
I have heard that Congress has something going on. I don't know where it is or what it says, but here's my position. I don't want them to be involved in a state issue. We can decide for ourselves what we want to do. And we don't now. What I do hear about those, which is some concern, because our grids are not big enough to handle all the data centers we want to put in here. They use an awful lot of energy and water.
Yeah, they got a cool and
Water's, yeah, and
It's bad.
Well, right now the cities, I guess they have brownouts or something, because sometimes I can't get my air conditioner to come on. So, and I've got that thing on my meter that allows for a brownout, but I guess they're doing it when it gets really hot. But imagine, I understand that there's a data center that wants to go in over Franklin Township, so they would be on AES. What does that mean when they put a burden? I mean, there's so many of these things popping up all over the country.
Yes.
They're a bunch, and they're really looking at Indiana hard.
Well, and one of the things, Mike,
it could be a problem, and I'd rather decide it for ourselves instead of let Washington decide.
Yeah, I had a company from the UK contact me about running a job up in Fort Wayne for one of these data centers, and I'm like, so it's not only it's it's
what about the unidentified ones? Like there are some that are like for unidentified vendors or something like that. Like, John, do you know what I'm talking about? Where I think Indie Reporter was reporting on that. Like the bids that are up right now are, they don't say who it is for. They don't say it's for Google. They don't say it's for Amazon.
No, it just says data center. they go through the zoning process, and then they will do it, and then then that person will pop
Well,
up.
but there's already money like attached to it. So how is that even possible then if we don't know who?
Well,
the company is?
let's go back to Mike talking about the tolls on 465. So if you drive on the south side of the new section, they already got cameras up. They already got the cameras up.
Oh,
That's
yeah.
not
No,
just
they already got cameras up on 69 too, John.
right.
Like,
And so all this stuff gets done way before. So let's put it this way: they do the thing, and then they make the law to do the thing. In
well,
a
they
lot
got
of
to
cases.
test it at least to make sure that they can do it.
Yeah, yeah. Like they don't have to. All they got to do now is to go down to the Ohio River and watch that toll across
Well,
the
but
bridge.
John, Indiana's not good at tolls right now. Like at least
No.
Northwest Indiana, holy crap! It's like
Yeah, it's
every place
burdensome.
else has the express lanes and stuff. And Mike, I love how you said like, okay, well, let the express lanes sell themselves almost. Like, don't punish all of
Everybody.
us, but
Yeah.
but just look at how fast you could go, and you know because when I grew up going to Chicago, and so like, man, when you take the tollway to Chicago, there's much less cars, there's much less traffic. And it's like, oh my God, why wouldn't I do this all the time? And
Yeah,
really,
amount
you
of
would do it if
quarters.
you're in a hurry. Like,
Yeah.
but you can choose
Yeah.
those. You can choose. You said that you can choose whether or not you want to use it. And
Right.
One of
Yeah,
my things
that's
is
big.
with the road construction, it takes so much money for these projects, and a lot of these contractors have to join forces. We have a Walsh, we have a Superior, we have Milestone, Reith Riley. We have a bunch of contractors, and they basically can get together and set the price. And then when you throw in elected officials that have never built a road in their life or never built anything in their life, they're at the mercy of these people. They're going to tell them what we're going to do. And if you don't, guess what? You're not going to get your road fixed. So my thing is like, I would like to get more competition involved to bring that down, piece out these projects smaller, and basically have some decent construction management.
Well, I just wish they would only do a road when they're ready to do it, or a bridge. The White River bridge over 30th Street by the Naval Armory.
Don't even give me
5
started on that one.
years. It's 5 years. And I'm thinking in World War II, we were building bridges and roads within 30 days. 5 years.
Yeah. Now, is that your district? Is that your district still, Mike?
Yeah, it used to be. It's not any longer.
It's not anywhere. That is a perfect example of screwed up magic. They should have never decided that they're going to put that bridge back piece by piece when half of it's in the bottom of the river. And then when they started taking it down, they try to number it. I'm sorry. I love that bridge. That naval building over there is awesome. It's beautiful. But for the love of everything holy, 5 years, and it is 30 million over like this year. It is unbelievable how much over budget it is, behind times, when our roads are, it just killed me. Now, I don't know if that's a state project or is that a city?
No, that's a city project.
Okay,
so
yeah, I figured
they'll
it was
get money
because
from
of
the
the time.
state probably and from the federal government. But here's what's bad. We had a bill up. It was Mike Kreider in the Senate, and what's his name? He's up from up north. Had a road bill, and it was raising our taxes. It was taking money from the township trustee's office, from poor relief and all the firefighters and all that, and giving it to the city to build roads. And Brad, nothing against you because you're a Democrat. But my point to them was, my point is, well, the only ones that probably have the money are the 3 Republican townships in the southern part of Indianapolis. And you want to take the money because they're good administrators and take that and give it to the city that can't get their roads done in 5 years.
Yep.
And so my question was to Senator Kreider. I said, how long did you look and think this was the best idea? He says, well, we had a study committee on it for 2 years. I said, for 2 years? I said, did you look at any other place in the world that builds roads? They are better than ours, last longer, and can do them cheaper. He said, yeah, we did. I said, what'd you find out? We found out it was easier to tax people.
Well, and here we are. And here we are. It's well, and
it took them 2 years to figure, let's just keep taxing them.
But if you think about it, another example of, the new hotel that the city guaranteed the $600 million on. Did anybody else figure out how fast did they get started on that project And these kind of projects take years to get going. And I know it was probably all drawn out or whatever, but it was almost like, oh, we know it's going to happen. Whoever it was that was doing that thing, we'll get some money somewhere and it'll go. I just couldn't believe it. That thing's almost topped out now. And the laws, the ink on the law or the loan hasn't even dried. And so, like I said, they
can't build a bridge less than 1/10 of a mile in 5 years.
You got to bring that up again. That just infuriates. As a contractor that's always under the gun to get done on time and all that, it is frustrating.
I love that everybody struggles with roads and that it's not like that it's not just big city guys, kind of a thing.
Morgan County, I'm going to take my hat off to Morgan County because I built roads in Morgan County for a subdivision, and that highway department, there's some good old boys that know how to do roads. And they're not the richest township, but their roads are good.
Like big city contracts kind of take away from the contractors that need to do small town work.
Yeah,
that gets done too. So like, I'm with you, John. Like it should be kind of spread out a little bit more. And Mike too. Yeah, I don't know how many times they're audited about like road building management or road management because but there has to be because like. If some areas do it well and some areas clearly don't, as a state, shouldn't we be able to be like, shouldn't there be like a friendly county to be like, hey?
Well, like I said, I asked them.
I don't know what it was.
And they said, we found out it was cheaper to tax people.
Yeah, it's always cheaper to tax us because we don't pay attention to shit.
I know it. I know.
Well, this will give you an example. Joe Phillips, I think that's right. He was the mayor of Franklin, and they put him in charge of NDOT. And I'm like, why don't we get a road guy? I mean, seriously, why don't we get a road guy or an infrastructure? Why don't we get somebody that's actually built some roads and knows what's going on? I think in a lot of cases in the city, because you have to be bonded. Mike, you brought that up about being bonded. Yeah. But I only have had to be bonded like on 2 jobs. One when I started a sewer utility, and one when I think I did a big project that they required just only a $200,000. My other one was a $2 million bond, and that's fun to get. But if you have the proper management and somebody over the project, you don't need a stinking bond because it gets built right. And the other thing with working with the city and with the government is getting paid and dealing with these people about payment. And why would me as a private contractor, why would I go through that pain in the ass to go work for the city when I can go out in the private sector and do exactly what's supposed to be done? What's the answer there?
That makes sense.
That's why it never works.
I thought they had to pay it within a certain amount of time.
It's just layers of garbage. And I mean, I would like to see how that 30th Street bridge is getting paid out being that far. I mean, it's
5 years. 5 years or less.
And I know the Mason contract that's on it, and those guys are union. The labor makes I have to pay $47.50 for a labor. I have to pay $54.50 for a Mason per hour. And those guys bring home about $30 on the labor side, and Mason maybe 35 by the time they pay their dues in. But $4 of every hour of every union worker, and they have 12,000 workers, goes to the union. So you don't think they got a little bit of money? So that's how they get.
Yeah, but if they're not working, how are they getting paid?
Well, it's all for the strike when they want to come in, and
Yeah, but I'm saying, how can they pay their $4 an hour when they're not working on the bridge?
Well, they're working on the bridge. It's just running way over.
I've been working on that bridge, except maybe 2 or 3 times I've seen them over there.
Yeah,
there's a lot of consulting going on.
Yeah, there's all. I'm just saying.
That's what that's standing around, and
it's got it. That's why they call it city crew. But I think really the biggest thing is the leadership and whoever's running it. So, but we've talked about that long enough. But I want to get to the conspiracy. But Lucy sent me a thing. Be right back. Now you have to remind our audience she has 10 kids. Which she always reminds. Oh, there she is.
I think that's a conspiracy. Oh my gosh,
because I have what I call maybe my best conspiracy theory that I've had. I know it's at least 2-year.
Lucy's secretly a genie that just lives in a bottle, and
she just call
her name, she just appears.
I know.
Yeah, that was awesome. Like, what the hell?
I rubbed the camera. Genie, come in.
Is your husband an astronaut?
Yeah, right, Aaron. Yeah.
He,
Yeah,
No, I'm
I
just
agree
a
with Jeannie.
Stanley
He was
Kubrick. I'm a
Tony, the astronaut.
I'm a
Tony,
Stanley
the
Kubrick
astronaut.
astronaut.
okay, we'll do one more law. We'll do one more law. Brad,
You're the
you
only one
can
that caught that, Brad.
You said Brad had some questions anyway.
Yeah, well, I got another one here that's sort of,
I don't know.
Brad's a librarian. This is about school and teachers. Let's put this one up here. Restrictions on students' cell phones use. Okay, schools must adopt policy banning student use of cell phones and other disruptive devices during instructional time. Now, I've been a substitute teacher here in Wayne Township and in Perry Township, and they told me that you do not get in any TikTok videos with these kids. You do not let them do the thing. So I'm over here at the 7th and 8th grade center, and I got kids in there wanting me to do TikTok video with them. Now, I don't know how that had gone, but it would have been bad. So,
No, but I'm for it, but it should be a discussion based upon each school board. And I don't mean it like that they're the ones who should decide. It's like it should be that kind of a personal conversation. Like, this is why we need this. We need these kids to be able to pay attention. This isn't to stop information from going one way or another, but I think I've talked about this before. Oh, no, go ahead.
I was just going to ask you a question, Brad. Since the state is the one that puts in the most of the money now, we do it. They can get some property tax locally. They can get them from referendum, but we put in most of the money. And our scores have gone down. Our proficiency rates on English language and math have gone down from 2013, when they were 82 and 80 respectively, down to 42 for each of them last year. So something's causing them to go down. I'm not blaming teachers, because I think I got a good education in public schools. That's why I'm here. My kids went there. One's a nurse, one was a Marine, the other was a teacher. So I think I got a good education. I think they did a job. I think those teachers care about kids, but their hands are tied a lot of times.
Yep.
And the other thing is there's a lot of distractions. And I think the state has a right, since we're putting that in, and we have the obligation to teach under the kids under the Constitution, to offer them a free education, that we say, hey, you're there to learn, not to be on your cell phone. Before you got here, Brad, that phone was going off so many times, I finally had to shut it off.
Got Stevie Wonder's Superstition as a ringtone, Brad, by the way.
Hell yeah. Oh, man.
Like, I didn't know he was that hip. I just thought he was one of them old dudes that was going to, go 55 on 465. But no, he's pretty hip.
Fish does a cover of Boogie on Reggae Woman. That's like, that's great.
That's a good suggestion to have. So, now that a lot of the places I've subbed at, they have a computer. They have a little computer that they're responsible for. To me, man, they come in there all broken up. I forgot them. It's not charged. I guess we're supposed
There's so many excuses, but
right.
My thing too is like with the push of AI and stuff. Like,
can you guys read this
opening
headline?
up a whole avenue.
Maybe. Let's see. Yeah. The paper advantage.
Yeah, that's a story I'm reading right now. You know what it's saying?
What?
Don't use the damn computers.
Show's over.
Because the brain works better when it's reading off the paper than on a computer. Yes. And the other thing that's happened so far, and part of the reason our scores are going down, I'm going to research this too. Not saying that's true, but I was told that in college, when I was in college, IU downtown, in the 80s. Computers, kids don't lose. Our minds are not made to learn.
We use it as our memory. No. We don't build neural pathways because we have this computer.
So
I think we build different mental pathways, which is it's a whole different issue. I think that we need to deal with later. But yes.
So I'm thinking, if we got computers, that sounds good. I had to do research by going to the library, and we had a lot of libraries in our neighborhood. I could walk right to them. If this is really part of the cause, it's dropping our proficiency rates from 82 and 80 down to 42. We need to do something about it. Let me give you an example. The private schools have the best proficiency rate. They're not great, but they have the best by about 8 points, 50%. Public schools and charter schools are right there together, about 42%. You know what? Who has the lowest proficiency rates in education? What was I just talking about? Computer. And what do? They have now schools that's online, they use computers. You know what their proficiency rate is? Take a guess.
30%.
Pretty low.
What, 30%? John?
30%.
I'm going with 50. That's
Well, I
nice.
said the highest was 50, but that was private, so you can't go 50.
Oh, okay.
41.
13.5.
13.5. And Brad?
41.
41. 6%.
Oh,
6%. Wow.
6%.
But Mike, so much of that is on, and again, I'm focusing on parents because we all want to make it back to parents' responsibility and parents' bill of rights. Parents have a bill of rights, but they need the responsibility to raise their kid.
they need to enforce them. Well, as
Yes.
Yvonne
Yeah,
talked
do
about
you
here,
think, Brad, that we should allow things that don't
Educate.
work? Yeah, but should we allow things that we know don't work to be a decision?
But no, but
Why
there-
shouldn't we give them the choices of things that do work and let them pick of that? But if we know something's only
Right.
6%,
I love that you're talking about libraries. Like I was smiling that whole time that you were mentioning that because like
Job
we
security.
have a lot of words on paper.
well, you're right, because you're
you
reading
know,
it.
like they're there. They are here for us. And I'm just gonna go off on a soapbox because damn it, we've been persecuted a lot for like trying to indoctrinate people or trying to, push things upon people. And we are there to help the community. And Mike, like everything you talked about just then was exactly what we're about. And I'd like that to get back to where libraries are.
Yeah,
So thank you for saying all that.
yeah, and Yvonne makes a point here. They've lowered the standards to raise the scores in some areas. So,
But who are making these scores? But again,
that would be She says IDOE, Indiana Department of Education.
Department of
Hey, I was
Education.
like public education right there, baby.
Well, we can't tell. They will never tell us how they determine what the proficiency rate is. So we don't know, and we know they change all the time.
You do think electronics and like the internet, I feel like, have like that role of kind of scaling back reading.
Yes, I do, because not only was I told that in college when I was there, and it always stuck in my brain that he said more and more people are going to go to computers and education, and it won't be good because the mind, you can't learn that way. And so then I picked up this paper that said that, and I'm thinking, well, it's about the same time, 2013 to 2025, that we started using education more on computers than actually reading the book. And when I did my study, I found out the worst proficiency rate was people that were on computers, 6%.
Yeah, I'm surprised you didn't read the article online. So, but
no, and that's
I got the paper.
Are we not being a good model for this behavior? Like Yvonne said something last week, and I did not mean to impugn anybody. Like I really think it's like on the parent. So like I think a parent can control whether or not their child is shown a modeled behavior that they want. But for
behavior is Brad, behavior is different than learning though.
Like we're on our cell phones all the time. And like we're not showing them that. Like, when's the last time any of us wrote a letter?
Lucy's getting ready for
well, that was my. No, you're right. But you want to think that's bad? Now listen to this. We were pushing. Senator Gene Lysing was pushing in cursive to do it in cursive writing because we knew that the neural pathways in the brain are activated and you learn much better if for whatever reason you're writing. And so I did a little test. I asked my grandson, we went out for dinner. I got him hooked on great expensive steakhouses. That was my mistake.
Smart.
But I said, now, Luke, when the bill comes, I want you to put in a 20% tip and then just sign my name on it. And he knows my name.
I know it's good to teach your grandkids for
You're
at
going to put
early age.
But no, well, here's the funny thing. He says, I can't do it. I said, what do you mean you can't do it? He says, Papa, that's my name, Papa. He says, I don't know how to write. I said, you don't know how to write your own name? He says, no, Peppo, I don't. Just write on this receipt, the bill, write my name. I want to see how you do it. Of course, you get 2 copies, one for the merchant, one for yourself. I had no idea what that language meant that he wrote. I couldn't read it. Nothing would write my name. And so I took it at the Senate and I hung this up. I said, if anybody can read this in this room and tell me what that says, you can have the amount that's on there for the I had to pay.
What did the receipt say? I quit the caucus.
No, I didn't say that.
Nobody figured it out.
It was so horrible. I said, well, Luke, what's going to happen when you have to go to a closing when you get your first house and you have to sign the contract? He said, I don't know.
I'll get Pawpaw to go with me.
You know what? That brings
he can't
up.
sign his name. How's he going to read the original documents of our country that were all handwritten?
He just signed his name X like they did back in the days. That you can't. That's crazy. Okay, well, I think we're at the end of our time here, and man, it's Mike. We could go on for like 3 hours with you. You just.
Mike,
I'll tell you what you can do since you can't always be here. What you can do, we can go on for 3 hours and then you can just cut it into thirds. And when you can't be there, then you can play it while you're gone.
Yeah, that takes work, Mike, and I barely can keep the wheels on this bus. So thanks for all the work. You'll never be invited back. But no, in all seriousness, you've always been a friend of our show. You've come on, you've explained things, you've answered the question that inquiring minds want to know. And we appreciate you and all your service you've done over the years.
So I'm not like Diego and not answer the question.
No, I don't know if there's.
And you actually come on the show.
You're an old
here. This is good.
an old school gem for sure. That is, you've done a tremendous service. And if you weren't already elected official, I would give you a Sagamaw of the Mars Hill ditch here. I mean, we have that. We can give that out.
Oh, good. I would be honored.
You could be. I really, that gave me an idea. I may have to start doing that. But anyway, thanks for coming on. We won't make you endure the tinfoil hat thing. So unless you want to, unless you want to stick around for the tinfoil conspiracy,
because I'm going to forget it if I don't say it, and I'd rather Mike be here.
Okay, well, hey, he's in. You're in. Hold on. Let me make it official here. Let's get the actual. There you go.
Hey y'all, it's time for the conspiracy theory, so you better get your tinfoil hat out and let's see what's going on this week.
Yeah, we got conspiracies about. That's all right. I give up on you. I'll wear the helmet for everybody. So
like the reason that the Epstein list was not released is because it was in cursive.
Yeah, I see where you're timing. Well, but what you're meant to say was it was released, but nobody could read it.
Yeah, or it was in cursive and nobody could read.
Yeah, they had to have their
Money was flabbergasted by
Captain Cuts Dakota ring. So, well, that's a good one, Brad. Brad, by the way, are the White Sox eliminated from the World Series yet?
Probably, but it's funny. They played in Colorado over the 4th of July, and they sold out Coors Field. And the Rockies have a worse record this year than the White Sox did last year when they set the MLB record for most losses in a season. So, like, fingers crossed, Rockies just keep up that pace and get us out of the record books.
Record books in the wrong way. Well, I think Rob Kendall had Bruce, the guy that owns the Indians on. He's a good dude. Can't remember his name, but
the Indians are good guys, and they're
I love that paid their own way. That ballpark's great. Actually, I have 2 old seats from Busch Stadium. You remember the old wooden?
Oh yeah.
Leats. They've got a couple of those are out there by the garden, just sitting there getting all dirty. But anyway,
I got to play on Victory Field in 2001.
Really?
We went to the state championship. Yep.
I missed. I had to play there when we had the traveling teams throughout the state, and we had a big tournament out there. I think we came in second. We were playing the team that was in first.
Yeah, but hard to believe that's.
I hit a ball deep to right center, and on top of those red bricks, they got the cinder bricks, just about that big. Mm-hmm. On top of it, I hit off the top of that. I was that far from having a home run at Victory Field.
Wow, that's like I didn't even know you played the baseball, but
I was second. I was second team All State.
Wow, that's pretty
And
cool.
the only
Back
reason
in
I wasn't on the
19
first team was the guy beat me out. I used to play in the outfield, but I got bursitis in my elbow, so I had to move into the infield. And the only position I could play was either pitcher or first baseman. I played first baseman.
What was that back in
How
1938?
tall are you?
Well, I'll tell you what, it's funny. If you ask how tall I am now, I'm about 5'9.5". I was 5'11", but I fell off my garage. The guy, we had a tornado come through Speedway through a limb right above the ceiling up here, and I didn't know what was going on. I didn't even know what happened, and I heard my ceiling collapse, and it was all the water. And so the insurance company didn't fix the whole roof. They just went in there and fixed that one little hole, which is horrible. So I hired this homeless guy that went to school with me that lived under the bridge here at 34th Street and 465. And I said, hey, because he did work, he did good work, and I paid him. And we were almost done with that whole roof on the backside. And I held the ladder for him. It was a 2-story house. And we had 2 ladders, one coming up from the ground level and the second going up. And I held it for him, and he didn't hold it for me. And I'm stepping from the ladder to the roof. I'm actually stepping. The ladder slides out. My heart sinks. The first thing I think about as I'm falling down, grab the gutter. I just went by it. Second thing I thought about was land on both feet and spread out the impact. I got to 1 foot. My driveway is an incline, so I fell back and hit my head. And I start to get up, and I can't get up. Man, I was in so much pain. I said, you're a guy. Get up and walk this thing off. I couldn't get up.
Rub some dirt on it.
Yeah, and I'm yelling and screaming. The guy, for whatever reason, never hears me. My 85-year-old neighbor lady hears me. She comes over and she says, "Do you need help?" I said, "Yeah, I'll call 911." So about 10 minutes, 5-10 minutes, the ambulance is coming up. It's got sirens on. I'm laying on my key in my pocket. I can't turn, but I barely get the keys. I pull it out. He finally comes down after he hears the sirens in my driveway. He comes down. I said, "Take my keys, get in my car, and follow us down to the hospital. They'll look at me, they'll release me, and you can take me back home." He never shows up. He never shows up to the hospital.
Is he stealing your car?
Yeah, he's got my car. So I'm thinking, how do I get out? Because he doesn't have a phone. He's homeless. And I can't get to the bridge. I know sometimes he slept in the McDonald's and read the paper over there. But the doctors told me, "Hey, you can go home. All you guys have broken foot." And what was it? Broken foot?
That was it?
Thank God.
This is what they told me I had. And so I said, "Okay." But I said, "But doctor, I can't get up." He said, "Sure you can. You got a broken leg. You can get up." I said, "I'm trying. I can't get up. I can't get up." So finally he called a physical therapist. The physical therapist came in and looked at me and he said, well, just sit up. I said, "I can't set up. I cannot set up." And he told the doctor, "There's something wrong." And the doctor said, "Well, the x-ray said he only broke his foot." So they couldn't figure out why I got up. So they did an MRI. Not only did I break my foot, I broke my back. I crushed my vertebrae. I had a injured kidney, or what's that other one? It's over on the left-hand side. Not kidney. What? No, it's
Spleen.
spleen. Yeah, I think maybe it was a spleen. He says, "You can't go anywhere." And so I said, "Okay," but I can't find him, the homeless guy, because he's never come to the hospital. So the next day he doesn't show up. I start calling people to ask them to go look at the bridge because that's where he sleeps. And nothing down there. I said, he goes down to McDonald's, he reads the paper, and he washes up in the morning. Go down and see if he's down there. Can't find him. I asked my dad, I said, "Will you go over to the house and see if my car's over there?" Because all of a sudden it hit me. I gave him the keys to my car. It also has my house key in it. The guy's sleeping in my bed with my dog.
It's so messed up.
Are you sure he didn't push you off that ladder?
Have you ever seen that Seinfeld episode where Kramer and Jerry's
George?
friend, huh?
George? Kramer
No,
and
the other
Newman.
guy,
Newman.
Newman. Kramer and Newman's got this idea about getting this rickshaw and hiring homeless guys for them, and they tell them to run up the block, turn around, and come back. And the homeless guy took the rickshaw and turned right at the corner and never came back. And so now I'm laying in a hospital. I can't get out for like 6 days, and I was in a body cast for about 6 months. I'm envisioning this guy driving around in my neighborhood with the window down, waving to people because he's got this plate on the back of the car that says state senator. And he's waving at all these people.
He's making bills. He's passing laws.
Anyway, yeah. I don't know what he was doing. But one day, about 2 weeks later, my dog started whimpering and running back and forth. I'm thinking, what's going on? And the homeless guy comes to my back window, and the dog smelled him or whatever and knew he was there and missed him because I'm sure he was.
Aww.
It's sort of like an emu. It's sort of like
so now I'm not very good at learning lessons. So about 2 years later, I had a little leak over my garage. And so I called him because he actually did a good job putting the roof on. I mean, he and I were doing an excellent job. He finished it up great. I don't have any problem with that. So about 2 years, I called him up and said, hey, you want to make some money? Well, I had to call his parents because he doesn't have a phone. And he said, yeah, I'll make some. I said, I got a little leak up here on the garage roof over the garage. Will you just come up and patch it for me? He said, sure. And I'm sitting in my living room. That's where I got my computer. And all of a sudden I hear, boom. I said, what in the heck was that? I walked from the living room over through the kitchen into my family room. And there he is. He's got one leg on my coffee table, one leg on the floor, and all of the ceiling's gone. And I can see the sky. I said, what did you do? He says, well, I couldn't find the leak, so I was jumping up down to find it. And he broke through the roof, down through the rafters. And that's what happened.
Of course, he didn't spend 6 days in the hospital like you. So
no, Mike, I could listen to your stories forever, man.
So Lucy, that's what we call a conspiracy fact, right?
That is indeed.
That is not a conspiracy theory. That actually happened, and so that is how Mike Young got from 5'11" to 5'9".
Oh, that's why I was telling the story. That's how I went because
that lady ain't a big old spider.
I had my pants on, and my pants were too long. They were dragging. I asked the doctor. I said, "Is something happened here I'm not aware of?" I said, "My pant legs are on the ground." He says, "Oh yeah. Instead of getting old and losing height as you get older, you lost all yours because of compression when you hit that cement driveway. So the good thing is you lost 1.5 inches to 2 inches, but you'll never get any shorter now because you've already lost what you've lost."
Compacted it all down.
Yeah.
That's one of the best conspiracy facts we've had on the show.
That is crazy.
So, Brad, you've had a good one. Mike's had a good one. Lucy, I'll let you go because I got the.
By the way, I got to pat my brow. According to Tiffany, I look homeless. I just looked into that.
Too funny.
Yeah, I'm
you know,
moving.
there's just too many conspiracy facts to go. So, for those of you who aren't aware, and I'm going to give you a possible antidote or some way to fight this.
Hey, real quick,
So,
why isn't Tiffany here? I just saw her come in. I thought she was part of the group.
She was. Let's see what she say. Miss you guys. She had to work late.
I think she had a meeting.
Oh, I thought she liked Brad's hair or something. I don't know.
I think what she said was, "I don't want to be on the show with that Mike Young."
That sounds like Tiffany.
That's a
But
conspiracy.
you could see she misses Brad because she's hazing him in the comments. So
Yeah.
There you go.
Brad will not get a show where he will not get abused. I mean, that's
no.
just
Like
part
I
of
think
it.
my first thing you told me was, Brad, be quiet for a minute. We're not going to talk to you.
Yeah, well, I was channeling my Tiffany.
Okay, Lucy, I'm sorry. Go ahead.
No, Mike, it's good. You know, I'm the conspiracy fact girl here, and I'll try and give you some antidotes for it. So the High Frequency Active Auroral Research Project, also known as HARP, HAARP, is well known among deep researchers.
Oh, that's
like
what
myself.
HARP is. Okay,
Yes,
I got you.
yes, High Frequency Active Auroral Research Project. It's based on Tesla's work of scalar waves. And so by throwing scalar waves at the ionosphere, you can change the direction of storm systems. And so there are a lot of people that believe, including myself, that these, and it used to be that there was just HARP in Alaska, but now it's all over the world. Various countries have it. And you know that there is a company called Rainmaker in Texas that's led by, I'm not going to be able to pronounce his last name.
The ones
His
that are
name's like
seeding
Augustus
the ones
Deerich.
that are seeding
Yes.
the clouds. Okay.
And they've been seeding the clouds in Texas for over 50 years. Now, this Rainmaker, Augustus, the guy that owns Rainmaker, Augustus, he's also a friend of Peter Thiel, who's part of the PayPal mafia. And he has, it's not Palantir, it's Palantir, which is the stone that can see everything. So you may know in the big, beautiful bill, little b, let's see if I can do this.
No, okay, but what's the
Six,
stone?
six.
What's the stone?
It's Palantir. Palantir or Palantir. People are saying it's
Palantir.
Palantir,
Okay,
but
but
the Lord of the
what
Rings,
can
I
the
think, is actually
stone? What can
Palantir.
the stone see? That's what I'm missing out. What can it see?
Everything
It's not-
at all times, forwards, backwards,
What?
360 degrees.
It's the
and
Lord of the Rings
stone?
reference.
Yeah,
It's the
So
Lord of the Rings.
it can see us actually talking right now.
Yes, it could.
Hmm.
So,
And how
like,
big is this? How big is this stone?
well, I think it's the size of just a grapefruit, isn't it? I mean,
I think
it's
so. It's
yes,
not. I mean,
really,
at
it's
this
not.
point,
It's
it's
not
more of
massive.
AI. It's not.
No.
It is not.
It
This
sounds
is not.
like
This is not
voodoo
a
to
real
me.
thing. This is Palantir. It's not
Correct.
a real thing. It's
Oh,
from
It's
the
like
book
a
The Lord of the
company
Rings. Get
that
rid of
is
that book.
okay. All
Yeah,
right.
it's from the book
creating
The Lord
this.
of the Rings. The
Yeah, I'm
reason
following
why
you.
it's significant is because in the big beautiful bill, apparently Trump has given $900 million to Peter Thiel and his company to collapse all of the data, every data point that's ever existed about every American citizen in every database into one central database, and then we'll end up with social credit scores. But here's where the rain comes in. Where there are places with elements that are needed for certain kinds of batteries, thinking lithium here. Apparently, the rain's coming through and it's doing the pre-construction sweep away of all the things that are inconvenient for, and like this is like something you could research in your position.
Oh, I see where you're going.
Yes, and so where there are places where they want there to be data centers or mining companies, everything gets swept away.
Couldn't
And
they just
so
purchase the land?
So Franklin
my gosh, no,
Township's
Brad.
gonna
It's not
Franklin
sinister.
Township, Indianapolis is gonna be gone.
well, no, Franklin Township,
They
Indianapolis
would
doesn't
have
have to
put
be
a
gone.
data center there.
Yeah,
Well, but
yeah,
this is for
they don't have to
this
do
is
that.
for the minerals type of stuff. And
Yeah, for
Oh,
the
just the minerals.
did
Not
you
the
notice
data.
how Hawaii burned down, then California's burned down, now
No,
Texas was
Hawaii
flooded?
didn't. If you had blue on, you never burned.
that is correct. It was if you had the blue roof, you were okay, and the giant Jewish space laser could not get you.
That see now we're talking conspiracies. I
Now we're
love it.
talking conspiracy
I
theory.
haven't.
Well, it
That
is
same-
funny. You look at pictures. Blue cars didn't burn. Blue houses
that's the
didn't
truth.
burn.
That's the truth. You
John,
can
John,
see.
toss up that disclaimer there at the bottom.
Oh yeah,
Oh, yeah,
really.
yeah, you should
Where's
have that
Spiro?
disclaimer.
Spiro usually tell us to
So-
put.
So let's
There
get
we go.
back to HARP, which is where the weather modification started because of Tesla's research into the scalar waves. And you probably already knew that Tesla had two stations, one in Denver and one on Long Island, that looked like a water tower with a sphere on it, and he was broadcasting electricity for free. You may know that Tesla
I
had
have
this
seen.
technology.
I have seen
Yeah.
his projects he was trying to do with that
Yes,
stuff.
and
I think
Westinghouse.
I don't think that was a conspiracy. I think that actually worked.
That was absolutely true. And Westinghouse had a contract. I think Boston was the first city to string copper wire, and that's why. And then you had the whole Edison with direct current electricity, and then Tesla discovered AC alternating current. And so Edison, in order to make DC more popular and make it seem safer, he was electrocuting animals, including as big as an elephant. And so in order to prove that AC was actually safe, Tesla got, a big rubber mat and used the same amount of electricity that Edison has used to kill an elephant. And he held both sides of it and the current went through him. And of course, since he was standing on rubber, he was fine.
Yeah.
Now, fast forward to Tesla's death in obscurity and poverty, and who was allegedly the people and the person that was able to go into his apartment and get all of his writings and his notebooks. Allegedly, it was Fred Trump, President
What?
Trump's uncle.
Oh
Yes,
no! Wait a
that
minute.
is
Wait a minute.
allegedly
I
when
don't think the Trumps
That
had
took a
come here
turn
yet.
that I was.
Yeah, I wasn't
I
ready
didn't
for
think
that
that
one.
Trump had been here yet because he came over because they're claiming that his dad wasn't a real citizen.
Yeah.
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 But
So I
his
don't
Yeah,
uncle
think he
was an
was here when
MIT
Tesla
genius,
died, was
and
he?
that's where he gets his smarts from. Let's not forget that. Like his
Yeah.
uncle was a genius at MIT, and that's why Donald is so smart. SMRT.
Well, you have to be smart to play 9D chess because we're way beyond the 3D, 4D, 5D chess. We're up to 9D. So anyway, the point is that this is very real technology. You can check the patents and you can see that there are patents going back to the 50s for weather modification and geoengineering. And of course, humans throughout time have attempted to change the weather, which is why even Native Americans had rainmaking dances, where they entreated the Great Spirit to send rain.
Hmm.
But
So
why don't we
all of
fix it in
this
the right
is,
way? Like that. And
what's
I
the
don't
right
mean to
way?
get you like to where there's not natural disasters that kill kids. You know,
Well,
I feel
see,
like that is like
that
that is a
no, you're
clear line
100%
in the
right.
sand.
100% right. So that Augustus
Well, for
guy, the
some
first thing
reason,
he
I
did,
understood about this storm, it would have been okay, except for something happened meteorologically that caused the storm to stop moving forward. Sometimes it happens in Indiana too.
Training, they call that training. It just kept
well,
going.
if you have
Yeah.
emitter stations that can emit the right frequencies, then you can cause a storm to stay in place or to even double back around. I
Well,
think it
why would they
was
want to do it there in an area where they knew it would flood almost immediately if it did that? Why would they do that?
I
Well, that's
heard
what
that they
she's
want to put
saying.
a data center down near Austin and Cary, which is
Then
where the
buy the
floods were.
land. There's money in data centers apparently.
Well, no, there is.
Buy the
There is.
freaking land.
Well, one
that
of the
is
problems, I have a friend that lives in Austin, and Texas is pretty dry overall. And my friend who lives in Austin says that they have a huge problem with water already, like too many people moving
yeah,
there. And he's north of the city, so he's still got water. But he said
it's
it's a
pretty
real
arid.
problem. Yeah, he
Yeah.
said it's a
No,
real
and
problem.
it's a little bit like Vegas when they have flash floods out there when it rains. I
Yeah.
remember my friend's brother moved there in the 80s in Dallas, and his car got flooded. He got in one of those things. His whole car got washed away. That was
You know,
in
the
the 80s.
federal government should have something in their budget to like research this
Here we go.
through
Here
different
we go.
organizations like National Oceanographic
Yeah,
Institute.
here we
Yeah.
go. Brad went
Yeah,
to
we
get his
find
point
that.
in.
that.
We
Like,
find that
why
that's
not?
not true.
I knew you're going to try to get. I've lost part of my
Okay,
hat.
so I
That's
don't want
bad.
you all to lose hope. I want you all to study orgonite, and you may find that there are these things called cloud busters, where people. So there's You know, you've got quartz, and if you exert pressure on quartz, it creates piezoelectricity. So that's why, like your watches work and keep time and things
Hmm.
like that. So this is well known with crystals and different kinds of things. So there are people who make orgonite, Orgonite, orgonite pyramids. They make what they call cloud busters, where they literally put metal shavings of various types, different types of crystals. They pour resin around these items, and as the resin dries, it contracts and puts pressure. Now, I don't know any experience of this personally. I have friends. I don't know, Spiro, look it up because I think I'm pretty
Yeah,
right
he's
on that.
correct. He's correct because
He's correct. I
Tesla
have the
was the
AC/DC
DC. Yeah, because
backwards.
it's okay.
Okay.
It's
I
conspiracy.
can't
So
believe I had something wrong.
man,
We better
little,
write
You
that one
talked
down.
about
I have
Topsy
to,
though,
yeah.
Lucy. So
we got some
talk about
fact checkers
Topsy the
on here. We got
elephant.
smart
Yeah,
viewers.
that's
That's
good.
great.
That's good. So when you create these cloud busters, these orgonite cloud busters, allegedly they punch holes in the chemtrails. Now, people have taken small orgonite, and I have an orgonite pyramid. I don't know if I've got it close enough that I can get it for you, but yeah. See, Linda Morrison has it. She knows exactly what I'm talking about. I keep an orgone puck in my
Oh, I
purse,
know what
and
the
then
mini pyramid.
yes,
I've seen that before.
and then I've got a pyramid under
I'm
under
going
my
to
bed,
Linda's
and
house in case of a disaster.
so anyway, people have tested this where they take their mini orgonite pyramid, and they'll put it in the freezer with a glass of water above it. Maybe you put some like Kool-Aid in the water so that there's some sort of color, and then you let it freeze. And what happens is after it freezes and you pull it out of the freezer, you see a vortex like a tornado, and maybe the tornado's all blue and the water around it is clear. So it has separated out in this vortex because pyramids and sacred geometry and all that kind of stuff. So
Wow, it's like,
so
well, you must have
everybody
been a
go
slow
out,
day at the
make
office for that
yourself
one.
make
But then
yourself
Lucy,
some
why aren't there the good
cloudbusters.
guys? Like
Hmm?
of cloud busting, like how come there aren't these people in like more Oklahoma that like can intercept tornadoes? Like if cloud
that is
seeding
a
is like
really great question.
I just don't understand how every idea like about cloud seeding is sinister. Like it's to create
Well,
this
it's not,
chaos.
because in Texas they were using it actually to get rain. It wasn't a
Right.
sinister
Well, then,
And they
thing.
use it
they
in Dubai.
just have to be
Be beneficial.
transparent about that.
Yeah, we
Like,
got a lot of cows to feed down in Texas. They can't be eating
There's a famous case of cloud seeding into a hurricane that that I read about that actually made it into the U.S. congressional record, and
Hmm.
it was a situation where they thought that they could. Maybe they thought they were going to break up the hurricane. Maybe they were trying to steer it. I don't know. But what surprised me about it is, and I don't remember which chemical they used,
silver
when they
nitrate or
threw
something
that
like
into the
that.
hurricane from an airplane very, very high up, it was only like 50 pounds of chemicals or something. I mean, it seemed
That's
like an
it.
infinitesimal amount of chemicals compared to what you would think about for a hurricane. And it actually came back and made landfall and killed a whole bunch of people, similar to what we
Hmm.
saw with the latest hurricane in the North Carolina mountains.
yeah, that
Oh,
one got
yeah, I
far.
heard about that too.
Hey, I
There's a
went
theory.
right. It's silver.
You guys want to
silver
hear my
iodide.
conspiracy theory?
Yes.
Okay, here's it. So I've been watching some of these podcasts, and it's about the Kennedy assassination. And one of the things in my mind is, man, how come no one heard him, Oswald, or see him go down those steps? And no one saw him until the cop and the the office manager came in, and he got there, I think a minute, 14 seconds after the last shot. He got in and got up to the first floor. And then I read, well, when they arrested Oswald, he had $13.87 on him, but he left all the rest of the money he had, amounted to like $170, at home for his wife. And I said, okay, how if he had $13.87 on him, how much money did he have in his pocket when he got to the work that day? Also, there's a lady there that said, I did see Oswald just after the shooting. He was asking for change for the Coke machine because he didn't have enough change to get it. So, okay, I said, well, then two things. They're saying they saw Oswald there, and it had to be him because he got there just in a nick time on the buy the Coke when the officer saw him. But if he had to go ask for change, he had to take time to go ask for the change. The lady had to go get the change, take his dollar, count it out, and then he had to turn. All that had to take more than the 4 seconds. They said it had to happen within that 4 seconds. Minute 18, Oswald came down. A minute 14, the cop and the office manager saw him. I said, well, is that possible? Is it possible to put your hand in your pocket and realize you don't have any change, and you have to go in the lady's office that has the change? She has to get the money from you. She has to go get the change, bring it back to you, give it to you, and you have to walk back. Well, that took if she had it right there, it could take another 12 seconds.
But she's a witness, though, right? Of him
being there along with the cop. But so I thought, well, now, what if the Warren Commission would say he already had change in his pocket? He didn't need change. How do you prove he didn't need change? Well, he had $13.87 in his pocket when he was arrested. So let's go back through the day. We know what he spent his money on. There were no stops when he was picked up from his house. They drove directly to work. He walked right inside. What we do know is I looked all this up on the internet. It was $1 for the cab ride. How do we know that? The cab driver said it was actually 95 cents, but he gave me $1 and said, keep the change.
Big spender.
So we know it's $1.
Oh, a nickel in those days, man.
Yeah, I know. Yeah, it was big. It was big. But the guy who testified and before the Working Commission says, well, if you could call that a tip, was his exact words. But anyway, so before he got in the cab, he was on a bus. Do you know what the bus ticket was? 50 cents. 50 cents. Then he went, after he got out of the bus, out of the cab, he went to the movie theater. Do you know how much a movie theater in Dallas, Texas for that show, a matinee in the afternoon, cost 50
Quarter.
cents.
50 cents.
50
Okay.
cents. So now we got $2. He had $13.87 in his pocket. He's got $2, so he's at $15.87. Well, not only did he need the Coke, but he also bought a cheese sandwich. And the cheese sandwich was 10 cents. Would have brought it up to $15.97. I mean, just went over. 16.02. 2 cents doesn't get you a Coke. The Coke in the machine was a nickel. So he had to break $1 to get the nickel to put in the machine. So he didn't have the right change. He couldn't have used the change out of his pocket. He had to go get it from that lady. So what the lady testified to is now proven by the fact he had $16.02 in his pocket. He had to have gotten change, which means that would have taken more than the minute 14 to do all the things they said he did, because they didn't count in the fact Warren Commission did not count those extra seconds for him to go get change, for her to make change, and for him to walk back. So that means he couldn't have been on the 6th floor
because he couldn't get there that fast.
Well,
he couldn't.
and Mike, I went to
do
Dealey
all that
Plaza.
stuff that fast. Right.
I went to Dealey Plaza this past November. It was the best time I've ever had at a historical spot.
Yeah.
It was so cool. But yeah, I'm with you. One of the coolest things on the wall was how many conspiracies there were, like right out of the gate. And I didn't know John Birch Society was like a big one, because Kennedy was Roman Catholic, and he was the first Catholic president or whatever. And they were the ones who famously had that treason poster, or wanted for treason, with him on it. And it's like, yeah, I love, and it's in Texas. Everything I see about John Birch Society still today
Goes down from there.
It's like, all right, but it was just cool to see everything there. Like that was one of the neatest. If anybody gets a chance to go there, it's well worth it.
I want to go sometime. I'd like to see that too. My
husband and I went in the 90s, and we went to Dealey Plaza. And then when you walk up and you get to where he was going to go under the bridge, guess what happens when you're up there? You see a manhole cover, and it's perfectly aligned with what a sniper could have shot into the car.
I'm going to burst your bubble a little bit. There's a couple people that are the conspiracy people that they've actually got into the tunnel, and they actually went up with a rifle to see if they could shoot the president.
Yep.
They said,
wouldn't there be a bullet hole through the
well, they said the range, you could
from going down.
It's not large enough.
It's so
to
steep.
hit the president.
It's so much steeper in person than it is on the Zapruder film. That was the one thing that I took away from that, was that when I was standing at the by the triple underpass, like everything was really uphill. Like if it ever snowed there, it could kind of be like a sledding hill a little bit. Like it was. It had a slope to it.
They said it was like a 3-degree decline. Is that true?
3%.
I don't know it.
Right.
But it's
sloped
very small.
A lot more
very
than I
small
thought. Like I thought
when
it was
you're
more
there.
like
straight.
Oh yeah.
So I got a question. I got a question for Brad and Lucy. Did you go to the Dairy Queen there? Did you go to the Dairy Queen and get you a Dealey bar? Did you get a Dealey bar?
No. I did not get a Dealey bar.
Didn't get a Dealey bar?
At Dealey Plaza.
Me and Mike, we didn't know anything about it. We want to know if we could get a Dealey bar. But anyway.
One last thing I'll leave you with. This doesn't prove whether anything about whether or not Oswald shot the president. I think my theory is he couldn't have done it because it would have taken more time than he had available to him. But the doctor, I didn't know this until last night. The main doctor, the neurologist, I think he had to sign the death certificate because they're saying his death was really a neurology thing with his brain. He said after the priest came in and gave the last rites, he went by one more time because they were going to put the body in the casket. He says, I just moved the sheet off his head just a little bit because I wanted to look better at the exit wound. He says, I looked at it. He says, my stomach was so sick after having some time just because they were busy doing other things. And he really didn't have the time just to examine it. He said, I looked at that. He says, It was so unbelievable. There was a skull completely blown out in the back, and there was nothing in there at all. Nothing in there at all. And so I put the, did I lose you guys?
No, no,
Oh,
No, you're on.
no,
And so,
please,
he
please tell us
said,
more.
he says, I pulled the sheet back up, but just before I did, I put my hand on the hair on his head and just said, I'm sorry. And he put it up, and then he talks about the fight with Dr. Rose and the other doctors in the room saying, you can't take the body. It's against the law. We're here to follow the law. And they're pulling their machine guns out. And the doctor, the one I was just telling you about, he says, I actually thought they're getting ready to shoot Dr. Rose because Rose won't leave. He won't get out. And I mean, they got like 6 agents there, and they got their guns pulled on him. He says, I thought he was actually going to shoot him. But
They were leaving with that body. Like,
yeah,
they were going to
leaving.
leave with the body.
So the only thing that tells me about that is that I think they lied. I don't think this doctor is telling the lie. He says, I went back and I looked at it. I looked at the hole in his head, and I got sick to my stomach. This guy is a trained doctor. If he can't tell where a hole is on a body, he's not very good at what he does.
But Mike, don't you think don't you think the agents mistrusted anybody in Dallas that day then? Like after that happened, why would you trust anybody to do?
Well, but the president's already dead at that point. But he's in the room.
Like you got to think that what you just saw was a murder. It wasn't like an accident.
Well, here's what the doctor said about trust. He said, a thought came to me that at this point, there were more Secret Service doing a better job at guarding the body of the president than guarding him when he was alive.
Yep.
I know Lucy's got some Fed conspiracies, but I would say that this is one of the mother of all mother conspiracies, really.
Yeah.
I mean,
Even if we can solve it, I don't think we can ever prove who it was.
Right.
The thing that sucks is because it's like our first taste of visual evidence of a crime like that, and like we're being told, it didn't come from the angle you saw or you think it did, and it's just like, can we just?
You're right. The doctor said, I didn't know. I never heard him ever. I knew all the doctors and the nurses, and everybody said, it was all back here, Everyone, not one doctor said it wasn't back here. They all did it, and they had pictures of 16 doctors and 2 or 3 nurses all going exactly the same way. But here is what is amazing. People want to say or try to imply it was the mob that did it.
Oh yeah.
And they got Ruby to do it. Well, here's the thing. They said that the original plan that they released to the media, and that's why they were there about 9:30, was Oswald was going to be transferred at 10 o'clock. So everybody's there waiting for the transfer. The only reason the transfer didn't take place was because the detective thought he could actually break Oswald and get a confession before he left. And he took another hour or so working him. He thought he was going to get him. He couldn't get him. And so they left, and it was told, hey, he'll be down, should be about 11:20. Well, Jack Ruby, we know this, he was at his house at 10 o'clock. We know that because he got a phone call from the girl that needed some money. She knows where she called him. He was at his apartment at 10 in the morning. So if he was hired by the mob to kill Oswald, nobody knows the time's been changed. So why wasn't he there at 10 o'clock? He was home in his underwear, and he said, okay, I'll go down and do it. He doesn't know the time's been changed. He doesn't know that Oswald now going to be brought down at 11:20. He goes over there. He's waiting in line to get the wire back down. I don't know why they just didn't give her the money at work, but it was on a Sunday. What's
it was against the law. It was a Sunday,
Well, what's that? What's the union called that does the wire transfers? What's that?
Oh, Western Union.
Western Union. So he's waiting in line. He gets there, I think about 11:15, and he's waiting in line, and there's a guy in front of him. He doesn't know how long this guy's going to take. If he was there to kill Oswald, he knows, if he knew, if somebody's calling him and say, hey, he's going to come down at 11:20, be here. This guy's waiting in line behind this other guy in front of him. He's going to get a wire transfer and then make it perfect so he gets over at 11:20. He actually, the guy got out of line 2 minutes later. It's now 11:17. He's doing the wire for the girl. If he's got to be there at 11:20, the only way he can get there is he has to leave pretty quick, walk over, and never get stopped. Nobody could stop him going down. And yet he walks right over at 11:19 across the street, which is it's right across the street. The cop that's there is supposed to be guarding the ramp. He's actually doing some traffic control at that point because I think a car couldn't get down, or the vehicle they wanted to use, it couldn't get down. And so they had to back up, and he had to go out and stop traffic for the car to get out. How would he know that that cop that was supposed to not let anybody down would be missing at that exact point? Then he only had enough time to walk down, get behind the first few reporters as they're bringing him out. He only had 3 seconds after he got in the line to pull the gun and shoot him. Plus, the dog he loved.
The CIA was like, man, thank you for doing that. Like, you saved us a lot of money.
I think you're right.
That solved a lot of problems. I think the guy stopped and got a Coke too.
Like, all right,
Yeah,
we can give this up, boys.
No, I think
well, and you think about
one last thing. I don't want to take up all your time on these conspiracy things, but I'm looking at the map. I never looked at this before. I'm just listening to what people tell me what happened on that day. So, what's his name gets home? Oswald. He changes his clothes. He gets his pistol, puts on another T-shirt, and get a different type of jacket. Now, when I look at that map, and I don't know how you can visualize it, but if you go, say, north, south, east, west, and here's the north, and this is where Oswald lives on that street. Where he shoots the police officer is over here. That's north, over here on the east side. Now, if he's going to the theater, which he said he was going to see the movie. A lot of people think he was there to see his contact because that's normally one of the places they can meet if he was being by his handler. The movie theater is over here, down here. So, which means if he was going to go to the theater, he had to walk from the north, go over to the east for some reason, come down, shoot the police officer, go all the way back over, and then down a little bit. Why wouldn't he just come down from his apartment down this way instead of going this way?
Yeah,
it was a lovely November day, and who wouldn't want to? Who wouldn't want to take in a movie? You know, you were just in the building that shot at the president of the United States. Who's not thinking, yeah, a 2:00 matinee is calling my name?
He went and saw Bambi.
Yeah,
Bambi versus Godzilla.
Yeah, I mean, like I said, the mother of, and you look at the 60s. The 60s was just laced with assassinations and that type of thing, and
not just here, but all around the world. Our CIA guys were taking out leaders all over the world.
I mean, it was definitely dark psyops going on there. So, all right, well, you guys just crushed my spirit because I have this conspiracy theory that I made up. That is sort of.
Can I go now? Can I go now?
Yes.
Yeah. Oh, you don't want to listen to Mike? Man, I'm going to tell you what, Mike Young. I'm one of your constituents.
He's like, I want 5 conspiracy theories.
Hey, Brad, don't start siding with Mike Young. I'll make fun of you.
Oh, that's been great, man.
What happened to Brad? I don't know what. Brad's gone all of a sudden. So, yeah, I just don't forget. I got the buttons over here. Don't
censor me, John.
So I would never do such a thing. But there's
He's
one thing.
The government on this.
Brad,
channel.
there's just one thing I got for you.
Going on a picnic. Whoa.
So
I can't not sing the woo.
I mean, that's just like the Archies or something. So this one is about sort of, picnics. This is July 4th and Thanksgiving. This is Benjamin Franklin stuff. This is like the real deal stuff. So you've probably heard that Benjamin Franklin wanted to make the turkey the national bird, right? Have you heard that before?
Right, yeah.
Well, there's a lot behind this. So what had happened was Benjamin Franklin wanted to use the turkey, But they said, well, we need something for Thanksgiving. So he said, well, hey, let's get this eagle. I mean, it looks good and all that. We'll eat the eagle on November, the third Thursday in November. We'll eat the eagle, and then we'll have the turkey on the July 4th for our national bird and all that. Well, they started eating the eagle and it tasted really bad. It was really tough. So they said, we got to figure something out. I mean, the turkey's a good national bird, but it's really tasty. I mean, I think we should.
It is.
So let's do the turkey on Thanksgiving, and we'll have the bald eagle on the 4th of July to symbolize freedom. And now, as Paul Harvey says, that is the rest of the story. So there you go. That's my conspiracy, that we started out as the bald eagle was the turkey and the turkey was the bald eagle.
Okay.
I like that.
Okay. Well, yeah, I thought you'd find that special. Brad, just one more thing.
Going on a picnic. Whoa. Go.
There you go. That'll give you your fix for a week. So
Man,
do you need any help moving?
No, I'm like halfway there.
I'm good, because I wasn't going to
My
offer.
brother talked me off a ledge the other day. I had to sell my fish tickets for tomorrow night, man.
What the heck?
Man, blasphemy.
I know. I'm gonna go see him 3 nights in Chicago the next weekend. So I'm don't make me. Every other person is like, yeah, like I get it. Moving is big.
I just got a text.
Oh.
Somebody's watching your show, and the text says, there have been several people who've lost their lives who said less than you have tonight.
Are they talking about you or
No,
us?
he's talking about the conspiracy.
Okay, good.
Kennedy. More
Yeah,
people
well, I
have
think-
lost their lives saying less than you did tonight.
Yeah, that's it sounds like that psyops is getting. I was glad they
I
weren't
just wanted
talking
to
about
make
the
sure,
turkey
like,
thing.
who was all okay because of man. CIA don't want to mess with that. And wait, where was that banner, John?
I took it down. Oh, you still want to do some more conspiracy theory? I thought we
I
were
just
done
mean,
with
like
that.
that was going.
I think
Yeah,
we're
see,
done.
it's for entertainment purposes only. So,
Okay.
all right. Well, we're out. We've had a great time with you, Mike, and
Yeah,
you're a
Mike.
great
Thank you so
sport,
much, man.
and
Yeah, no
and
problem.
all that wonderful stuff. And we'll have you on again as long as you can stay in the legislature. They'll probably kick you out of that next. I can't wait to see who they run
Real
against.
quick, Lucy, what's this book about?
Oh, okay. So the Dr. Mary's monkey is it's about some of the things that are going on behind the scenes during the JFK assassination. It might even cover where Lyndon Johnson told his mistress that he would be president. Like he woke up with her and said, "I'm going to be president by the end of the day." So that's
his hitman, the guy. He was a big football star down in Texas, and somehow Johnson supposedly got this guy caught, and he had to do things that Johnson wanted. He was his hitman guy.
oh.
One of the prints they found on the 6th floor in a box was this guy's.
Wow,
Why does
I didn't
anybody
know that
have
one.
a hitman guy?
Yeah,
They all
his
do. They got him on the
hitman guy.
Rolodex.
Why?
Yeah.
Why?
It was on the box. But here's the other thing. Here's what's strange. 3 months before that, the guy that worked for Johnson, who hired Maxwell, I think is his name, the hitman, bought that building.
No
3
way.
months.
That's almost like
Yeah.
the Twin Towers.
It was
coming
owned
down
by
that
somebody
Bush
else.
business policy.
Well, at this point,
Wow.
everybody now knows that the president's going to Dallas for Johnson and for and I'll tell you one other. I had a personal thing with Governor Conley. I'll tell you real quick, but anyway, so the original path that had been printed in the paper just about a week before that, instead of when you come off of Commerce and you turn on the Main, he would go I think straight down Main and go under the pass, but he's a street over. After they hired,
They made that weird turn.
Yeah, they wouldn't be making that weird turn. After Oswald is hired at a building now owned by Johnson's friend, who Maxwell now works for in some capacity, they changed the route on Wednesday. They changed the route on Wednesday. And what day did
Thursday.
Oswald go home? Yeah, the next day.
Oh.
The next day. They changed their route on Wednesday. Now they're going to come right in front of the building. And now they changed the route. It's going to go right in front of the school box depository. And Oswald goes home Thursday. He never goes home on Thursday. He only goes home on Friday. So the day that they change the route, the next day he goes home. And he gets a ride back on Friday.
Man,
Interesting.
I was like, wow, I was getting ready to kick you off the conspiracy theory, and you carried the whole conspircy theory.
Yeah,
I got one more on
when you can have dude Lucy on, and I'm not saying you did have dude Lucy.
I was doing a campaign with David Crane. His two brothers were congressmen in Illinois, and I was doing his campaign. Governor Connolly come in to do a fundraiser for us. I think it was 79 for the 80 election. I think it was. He was there. And, you know, you usually have a holding room until you get everything ready, and then you take the candidate down. So we're sitting there, and I just said, you know, I got to ask you a question, Governor Connolly. And if you don't want me to, I won't ask it. But tell me what you think happened that day during the shooting. What do you think happened? He says, I'll tell you. I heard the first shot, and I knew it was a rifle shot. I turned to my left, and I couldn't see the president. So then I turned to the right. He says, if you look at that tape, you'll see I have in my right hand my hat. And then I hear the second shot, and I hear the parent, ugh! But if you look, when his hands go up, I'm still holding my hat in my hand. Right after the president raised his hand, I got hit. Right after. It couldn't have been the same bullet because it took too long. And plus, you don't hear the bullet that hits you.
Oh, no.
They're so fast.
Right.
You hit before you hear the sound. And so the bullet's going to 2,200 feet a second. Sound travels 750 feet a second. So he says, I knew it couldn't have been that shot because I heard it. And then I'm hit. And then you can see me go back, and then I drop it. I couldn't have been hit by the same bullet that hit the president. So then I'm back in the back, and my wife, the first thing she does, she puts herself over me. Jackie Kennedy, I don't care what they're saying about him. She's out there picking up skulls and stuff. She was trying to get out of the car, and she's yelling and screaming. She's trying to get out of the car, and the Secret Service agent pushed her back.
Right. Shoved her back in. Yep.
She wasn't trying to stay there and cover him. She's afraid she's going to get shot. Well, I probably would be too.
Yeah.
And he says, they're going to kill us all. That's what he said. He said, I don't know where they're coming, but these bullets are flying. You hear them clanking because something went off, broke the windshield, and there was 2 dents in the front windows on the aluminum stuff. I don't know how many shots were fired. He said, but bunch of shots came in, and I just thought they were trying to take us all out. But she was trying to get out of the car. My wife is protecting me, and that's what he said. It was pretty amazing. I've never forgotten.
To be able to have that firsthand evidence, man. Oh, there is a link.
Thank
that
you,
John
Mike.
put in there. Yeah, that was amazing, Mike. I'm not trying to cut that short because that was freaking fascinating. Like none of us have ever been that adjacent to somebody that actually, was there until you did this.
Well, I guess there is a moral of the story. You know how, Connolly's wife covered him up and Jackie tried to get out. That's the result of if you sleep with Marilyn Monroe. I'm just, if you want to.
I don't think it was that.
Marilyn Monroe. Generally, Jackie will not cover up for you. So that was alleged. Alleged. Check the banner. It's all for experience, all that.
Well, speaking of Marilyn Monroe, I got something to add. So Marilyn Monroe, just a couple of days before she was shot, or before she overdosed, sorry. Obviously, she didn't overdose on purpose. She was allegedly arranging a public speech. She was going to go on the record for the things that Kennedy had told her during Pillow Talk about aliens. And so the Spotify link that is in the chat is for something called Immaculate Constellation. So just in the last 90 days or so, this Pentagon whistleblower has come forward, and he did a series of 3 podcasts, and I think that might be the first one.
Is that the one on Spotify?
That's the one on Spotify.
Yeah. So if you look at episode 5,
and you'll want to know about this, and you're going to want to watch it, Mike, because one of the things the whistleblower talks about is how he was reading a transcript and Marco Rubio was asking questions. So here we have this, federal, congressman who's asking questions, and they're lying to him, and he's reading the transcripts, and because of his, secret access, his security clearance, he knows that the CIA that Marco's asking questions of is lying to Marco Rubio. And so he wrote this whole report on it, and I'm quite frankly astonished this guy is not dead yet.
Okay, Lucy,
So
I
he
got
reveals
Funny
it.
thing, there's one of the researchers on the JFK thing. I can't believe one of the reasons he surmises the president was killed because he's getting ready to release information that UFOs are real and we've been
Yes.
visited.
and
Yes.
they own the
He-
Fed.
he-
They're actually running
yeah.
the Fed too. So, hey, Lucy,
So
I got
that
one
was
for
one
you.
of the reasons.
So, Marco Rubio, does he not remind you of Michael Corleone in The Godfather 2? And he's got really
never
big ears.
say that
No.
about Michael Corleone.
He doesn't sniff anything. He's not. His nose is not running. And
It
stuff.
was,
Yeah.
but he remind you.
They're
You look
short,
at
they have dark hair.
You look at
I
when he
mean-
was testifying, and they had him testifying, and you look at Marco Rubio talking. That very similar, very similar. Might even
I
be
think
the
that's
same
I
guy.
think that's kind of a stretch. I mean, maybe Hispanic
mean,
and
like-
Italian men are both swarthy, but they're different kinds of swarthy.
Now you're gonna go watch it. I know Brad'll go check it out, and he'll fact check me. But I'm telling you,
I
and did
mean,
you notice how big
Lucy's answer one, I
Marco
think,
Rubio
is
has
good.
ears? They're like way bigger than his head. I just,
Yeah.
I like the guy. I think he's really
Yeah.
doing a fantastic 17
Yeah.
jobs that they got him doing.
Man, but Pacino was awesome in that movie.
Yeah.
Yeah. Oh yeah.
Can't be
he's-
Rubio.
The Godfather 2, that just reminds me of, hey, Mike, does that remind you of politics down at the State House, the Godfather movie, a little bit? It's
Yeah,
like,
but people don't go missing and you never see him again.
yeah, well,
You gotta keep enemies closer, though, right?
you got to sit there. All right, kids, we have almost,
Thanks,
we
Mike.
have maybe have the longest, definitely the longest conspiracy theory show ever done in the history of the show.
Well, if you get the right guess,
Oh, I know.
That's
Mike,
right.
that was
You're
magic,
You're
fantastic,
magic.
man.
Oh,
That
and
was,
we have
this is my
we have-
favorite one so far.
Yeah, we have Greg Merriweather coming on tomorrow night or next week. And then I believe we have Dan Elliott after that. So I'm working on some, we got Mike.
they
important
have
Mike Young here.
conspiracy theories too.
Oh no, they're not. I mean, you set the bar. You've set the bar
No.
so high that
You're our best guest conspiracy theory
best,
by a mile.
yeah, bet. Oh, yeah, you're in the, as
win.
Whitty would say, you're based. You're based.
Oh
for
yeah,
sure.
I never knew what it meant. His girlfriend, I say, "What are you saying? What are you trying to imply?" His girlfriend got on and says, "You're good." That's what it means.
Yeah, that's a hip way of saying
You
you're
have a
all
Why
right.
do you
solid
say you're
foundation
good?
for your
You're not driving slow in the fast lane, all that good stuff.
No.
So there you go.
Okay.
Thanks for coming
Well,
on, Mike.
Good seeing
We-
you guys again.
All right.
Yes,
Good
thank
seeing you,
you.
Mike.
I said hi, and I'm disappointed she didn't want to come back for my second trip here. But
Oh yeah. Well, Brad will give her a hard time for you.
That's
there you
her.
go.
That's her problem. She's the one that missed out.
Yeah, that's right.
Yeah,
Yeah.
this was great.
All right. See ya.
okay, we'll see you.